Hello, hello. If you are wanting to get into real estate investing because you want more freedom in your life and you want to be able to do the things that you want to do, but you're feeling a little overwhelmed and you maybe just don't have a handle on your business, this piece I am going to teach on today is going to be for you. If you ever want to scale your business and if you ever want to create true freedom inside your business, you must identify your buy box. So we're going to dive in to how to identify your buy box. I get this asked quite a bit, and it isn't as straightforward as you would think. Oh, a buy box is just blank, do this, this, and this. This is the most crucial part of your business. And the truth is, you're actually not going to know exactly what your buy box is at the end of this. But what you will have is a framework and the steps that you need to create that buy box. Because you're going to have to start analyzing deals. You're going to have to understand what I'm about to teach you in these lessons. And then once you have that understanding and you start going into the market, then you'll start to be able to identify your buy box and start zero it in so you can get laser focused. So this is the three filter framework most investors skip and why it cost them deals. If you don't know who I am, my name is Michael Mitchell. I've done 135 BRRRRs just a little over 3 years, 30 plus flips and counting. Done a bunch of wholesale deals. Definitely not a wholesaler, but just something we dabbled in. I don't know, we did 40, 50 houses. And then we got really focused on the BRRRRs and quit doing that. So I can't help you on the wholesale side, but I actively still hold these BRRRRs and rentals, and we are flipping. I was featured on the HGTV with Tamara for 2 episodes a few years back, doing some high-end remodels. I was a general contractor before I became a real estate investor. So now I am just taking the knowledge that I learned as a general contractor. I am not a hands-on general contractor. I built the business, and from building that business, I took what I learned and applied it to becoming a real estate investor. So now I just teach you exactly those hard lessons that I did, losing hundreds of thousands of dollars. So you don't have to. You can just take my pain, my lessons, and skip that so you can start winning today in your business. So let's dive in. The problem, you don't have a buy box, you have a job. So important for you to understand this. If you do not have a buy box, you have a job. And what I mean from that is if you don't have a buy box and if you're not laser focused on a very specific property outcome exit that you want to target, and you're all over the place and you have short terms, mid terms, rentals, flips, wholesales, you have all these businesses going on. Each one requires a different system. And inside of each system takes different people to delegate to. If you are that system for every single one of those businesses, you just created a job for yourself. It could be a really high paying job, maybe more than you make at your job now, but you 100% have more responsibility. So today we're going to talk about this buy box and we're going to get you in line so you can start streamlining your business. And then as you start to build out your buy box, you'll know exactly where to delegate and you can build a business around it so you can ultimately have that freedom that you want. So here's three things right here about a buy box. If you do not have one, you'll chase everything. Everything that comes through, and wholesalers call everything a deal. Check this deal out. Check this deal out. Low margin, like high profit, right? Everything's a deal. Especially if you don't have a buy box, you might actually believe it. And so you'll be caught in a chase going after everything, right? So every wholesale email, every Zillow alert, there's no filter, just hustle, right? Without a buy box, you'll win the wrong ones. And that they'll be too expensive, just wasn't ready for, rehabs too much, or it's a zip code you just didn't quite understand that Maybe there was new development happening, and because of that development is actually negatively impacting your property. Maybe it's a war zone, whatever it is, you end up buying the wrong ones. So the other thing is you bleed in rehab. You bought a house, you didn't know how to scope. You didn't know how to do a scope of work on, and you just thought you'd figured out as you went. But the good deal eats the profits quickly. Oops. So this is the price of I'll know it when I see it, right? You need to analyze 30 plus deals. Analyze 30 plus deals for every one you close. For every one that you buy, you want to at least look at 30 deals. 60% of losses come from the wrong property. And you have hours of time wasted chasing every single deal. So with no buy box, you don't have a business. Again, you have a job. Now we're going to talk about this 30 plus deals. Don't let that, if you already feel overwhelmed and you're like, well, Michael, that's exactly what I'm talking about right there is I'm overwhelmed because I'm looking at every single deal. I'm chasing every deal. This is what we're about to talk about next is the buy box and how to make 30 plus deals like this weekend. You can filter through them really, really quickly. So 3 filters, this exact order, right? So you got your area where your market is. You have zip codes and even streets. You got the ARV. You got your numbers that you're running here. The rent, cash flow, debt service, and number 3, the renovation scope. What kind of rehab you're willing to take on, right? So 1, 2, 3. Let's keep this simple. Geography will where you'll actually own. Okay, this is important. Really, really important for you to understand this. Pick a buy box you can ideally drive to in 1 hour. And I know there's some people going to be watching this and you're buying out of state. I can do a totally another video on that. I just don't have enough time in this one. I'm going to keep this as short as possible. But if you are out of state, I can help you build out a framework, build out a team that you need in order to be successful. If you can't drive to an hour or less, just let me know in the comments. I'll do another video. I'll build out a framework for you that build out a team that you can trust to help you scale your business into different markets. Because I know if you're in like certain pockets of like California or Washington or maybe New York, these prices are very expensive, and so you need to come to different markets. And so I can help you. So, distance kills rehab oversight. Every mile from your house is a mile of risk. Start small. You can always expand the buy box once your system starts running. So you want to define 3 to 5 specific submarkets or zip codes. I like zip codes. I just use zip codes. But maybe if you know your market really well, then you'll have the submarket names. But no rent comps for each, not citywide averages. You want to get dialed in and like it's so simple. If you're buying in a specific zip code and you're in that area, just find someone who's renting another property, look on Zillow for rent, or if you see a sign out front that says for rent, just call the number to say, hey, I'm just curious what you're renting the property for. It's not hard. They'll tell you. I promise you. It's not a secret. Identify your ABC tier streets. Not all blocks are equal. So there's class A, class B, class C, and you want to know you could literally be standing on one block, and on the left of you, it is Class A, and on the other side of the block is Class C. Welcome to Kansas City, Missouri. If you vest here, then you know what I'm talking about. If you're not from Kansas City, you can be war zone one street and the next block over, like literally next street over, $1 million houses. So you need to know you need to know your market really well because that will absolutely kill your ARV. If you think your ARV is 300,000 and then one block over they go down to 180,000, you're gonna be in a bad situation. And you got to understand too, a lot of these wholesalers that they're not local to that market, they might be pulling comps that are not accurate for that specific property that you're buying, right? So get zip codes, narrow it down, and start to understand the blocks and understand like how it's working. Start reading local articles about what is happening in that community. So, yeah, you want to map proximity to schools, transit, and employment, right? So, just get to know your zip codes really well. Buying in markets you've never set foot in because this spreadsheet looked good. Out of state investor syndication math doesn't beat boots on the ground for a single operator rehab strategy. So again, if you're out of state and you're trying to invest somewhere else, just message me. I'll help you out there. From my city to a real buy box, right? So we got vague and we got sharp, right? I buy rentals in Kansas City. There's 1.5 million people, hundreds of neighborhoods, no rent comp anchor, and easy oversight from $100,000 house to a $1 million house, right? Like I mean, it happens in a snap, just one street over, and you're in a completely different area. So you don't want your buy box to be very vague like this. You want to sharpen up by saying, hey, look, I want to be in Waldo or Brookside or Northeast, single family house, 3-1 or 3-2. These zip codes only. Again, I'm a zip code guy. I say these zip codes, and there's certain zip codes. I'm like, there's certain pockets of I'll buy. And so, like when you're talking to wholesalers or you're talking to even realtors that have off-market leads, this is what you're going to present to them. Is you're going to show them like this is where I buy. This is the size of houses I buy. And this is, I mean, this is pretty close to the how I do it here. And you could even throw in ARV, and you want to have the size of the rehab, which we're gonna dive into. So the more specific you can get on your buy box, the faster you can filter out 30 plus deals. So numbers, filters, you filter 2 or 3, right? Is you got an ARV range, right? And then you have your BRRRR refinance math, and then your rent, cash flow cushion versus debt service coverage ratio, DSCR loans. Maybe heard of those. If not, just let me know in the comments and I can help you understand why investors use DSCR loans versus just like a traditional Fannie and Freddie loan, FHA or whatever. But your minimum cash flow, 200 plus per door. These are just examples, right? But this kind of lays out some math for you that you can start to play with what your target. So you have your ARV range. I have my ARV range, and it's anywhere from 150 to 200K. Anything above that, I mean, if it's like 205, 210, I'll probably take it. But if it's like 250, $300,000 for my BRRRRs specifically, I do not buy. It was just part of my buy box. I just say no to it. So 150 to 200. That's what I stayed in. That's how I was able to scale 100 plus doors in 3 years. Is I got very specific on this buy box. I knew at 75% on a $200,000 house was a $150,000 loan. Right? Sometimes you could get 80%. Most time we just got 75%. And then I would work backwards from there to know what my mortgage payment would be and what my rents would be, and then what my cash flow would be. I would back off all these numbers, and then I would have this target. And because I was so specific on my buy box, I was able to make decisions really, really, really quickly. So again, these are just an examples here. Don't just copy these and run with this. You want to do your own math, and especially this is like per zip code. They change. You know, you might be in a market where you're like, whoo, Michael, I don't have houses that are 260. My houses are $500,000, and maybe your rents would be a lot more. So your cash flow would just look a little different, right? So understand your markets, right? Step 2. So let's go the next filter here. So here's some failures where investors fudge the numbers, right? They get over optimistic on the ARV, missing rehab line items, ignoring carrying cost, and no reserves. So with the optimistic ARV, the more you study your zip codes, you'll start to see patterns. So get specific on your zip codes, start seeing properties, what they sell for, see what kind of rehab they have, right? And start to see the patterns so you can duplicate it. Missing rehab line items. So you got 5 major budget killers. People miss these. None of these are in your initial estimate or your scope of work. So when it comes to the rehab side of things, you want to become really, really, really good at building a scope of work so you can have your contractors bid off of your scope and then you're getting apples to apples bids and nothing's missed. Ignoring carrying cost. Do 6 months of interest, taxes, insurance, and utilities on a $200,000 project. You borrowed $200,000 for purchase and rehab. Um, that is an extra $12,000 to $15,000 of just fees going out, and and holding costs that you must factor into your numbers. No reserves. So you got to keep in mind that you have CapEx, vacancy, maintenance, property management. If you don't subtract these, your cash flow is just an illusion. So make sure on your calculators when you're doing your numbers, doing your homework, you have all of this factored in. Filter 3 of 3. Renovation Scope, the filter no one talks about. Not every deal is your deal. So you want to make sure inside your buy box, you're including or excluding the type of rehabs that you want to do, right? Because not your renovation skill set is part of your buy box. A deal you can't execute isn't a deal, it's a liability. So it's really important. So before you ever send out your buy box, you need to know, like, will you take on foundation work? Will I take on a full electrical rewire, property with active mold or asbestos? These are big ticket items. And if you don't do foundation work, just say I don't do foundation work and don't take those houses on until you learn that skill or meet that contractor for the right price to that you can then take down those properties that have the foundation. If you don't have those contacts and you're just not ready for it yet, just exclude it from your buy box. It's not a big deal. And it'll help you filter these properties faster, right? So pick your scope non-negotiables. So these are 3 different tiers. You got your cosmetic, moderate rehab, and full gut. When I first started, especially coming with the GC background, we did a lot of guts. We did a lot of full rehabs. And as I right around 50, 60 properties, I started getting more into like the moderate rehabs. And this is pretty much where I stay. Every now and again, I get a good deal on a cosmetic. They work. Usually on a cosmetic, the profit's a little bit lower. Moderate rehab just fits perfectly with my buy box and the BRRRR strategy. And for flips and stuff we're getting into, we just started flipping more this year. We'll do a lot more full rehabs on those. But when it comes to BRRRR, we stay around tier 2. Again, this is me. Totally different for you. You pick this, you decide what you want to do, what you feel comfortable with, and then execute it. This is how the filter works. 3 filters, 1 funnel. Very first one, right? All deals in your market. If they're not, you exclude it. You don't even go any further, right? You got past geography filter, right? And then you go past, and then you have the numbers filter. So depending on the number that you decide on, that's a big one right there. Especially, and also the scope filter. The scope can sometimes go above. Like, so if it's in your market, it's in your area, and you have the numbers in the scope, because obviously you're when you see the photos, you can make a decision off of the photos right then. If it's a full gut, you don't do full guts, then you don't even need to pass the numbers filter. You're like, don't even go there, because if it's not a rehab that you're even going to take on, but the numbers are good, like, pass on it. There's always a deal out there. Don't jump into something that you're just not ready for, right? So the numbers and the scope can fluctuate on levels of order here. Again, if it's not something you do, just pass on it. But these are the main things you want to look at here. So write your buy box in 1 line. Be really clear. We talked about this. Here, you can screenshot this. You can look at it. But that's it there. Sharpen your buy box. Now, inside our school community, it's free for now. It is free for now. I'm not sure. We're thinking about charging for it in the future, but right now, as we build it, it's totally free. I have a 6-module ScopeFirst course. And inside there, one of the modules has a buy box, and we have a PDF that you can print off. It's free again, and you can use it, fill it all in. But the part of the 6-module course helps you through your real estate investing journey. So get in there, check it out. Free course. I leave everything in there with PDF downloads. School.com/ScopeFirst. you're gonna have to send a request, and then someone, either me or someone from my team, will let you in. We're updating it weekly. We're putting in new videos, and we want to help you become a very profitable real estate investor. So you can sharpen your buy box with other investors inside the Scope First Inner Circle, the free community for real estate investors who want to scope smarter, run better numbers, and stop bleeding money on rehabs. It's all in here. Here to help you. So if you have questions, come to the community. You want to check out our app, scopefirstapp.com. This is the only app on the market to help you build better scopes so that you can take your scope that you built, so simple that an eighth grader can do it, and you build out a very detailed scope of work that you give to your contractors. Your contractors are now bidding apples to apples. It is very, very clear on what they're bidding. They're bidding on your template, your letterhead, so it's very easy for you to decipher exactly what it is they're bidding. Check it out. It's super useful. It's free to download, free to try. And then here's our email if you want to get a hold of me. Hope that helps. Hope to see you in the community.